no hip. And out of the east, Fort Abraham Lincoln, Dakota Territory, Bismarck, Mandan, 1,000 soldiers under the direct command of the Expedition Commander, General Alfred Terry, second in command, Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer, all 12 companies of the 7th Cavalry. And Custer likes to fight too. All three of these military columns will descend on this area, and each one of them is expected to act independently from one another should they strike the warrior force, because they cannot communicate. They're hundreds of miles apart. They cannot communicate. And if you cannot communicate, then you cannot
coordinate.
What's your name? Boy, that was you. Boy, you were close, but you were second. What's your name? Art. Art, you got an A. Cannot communicate, cannot coordinate. Why is he telling us this? Who cares? I'll tell you why, folks. Because there's a whole lot of people out in this audience who come here with a lot of distorted perceptions, mostly affected by Hollywood. Here's one of them. Custer was an idiot. Arrogant, vain, overconfident, a glory hunter. He was supposed to wait for other soldiers, disobeyed his orders, and rode to his death. Cannot communicate. Cannot coordinate. Well, let's look at his orders given to him in writing 3 days before the fight by General Alfred Terry. They go like this. Lieutenant Colonel Custer, sir, I place too much confidence in your energy, zeal, and experience to hamper you with specific instructions when in close proximity to the hostile force. Use your own judgment and hang on to your wounded. Yeah, but Ranger Adelson, he was a moron. He graduated last in his class from West Point. Well, folks, you don't get into West Point if you're a moron. And you certainly don't graduate if you're a moron. What's your name, sir?
Jake.
Jake. Jake, if you graduate from Harvard Medical School last in your class, do you know what you are?
Doctor.
You're a doctor. You're Dr. Jake. You're not a butcher. You're not a candlestick maker. You're a doctor. You can't be a moron and graduate from the most prestigious military institution in the country. You can't be a moron. You can't get in, you can't get out. So erase that. Anybody want to tell me who was first in Custer's class? Anyone? I didn't think so. Custer going to come off that divide. He's going to attack this big camp that he thinks is going to run and scatter. They're not going to fight. That's going to lead to his death certificate. But we'll get to that in a few moments, because right now we're going to go 24 hours backwards. Custer's camped 25 miles to the east of us at a place called Busby, Montana today. Goes into camp at 7:30 at night. He's got 647 troops. He sends scouts out ahead, Arikaras and Crows. They get up to the Crow's Nest at 11 o'clock at night, way out there in those Wolf Mountains, as far as you can see, 13 miles away. In the meantime, his men get some rest, but 11 o'clock at night, he wakes them all up, rouses them from a sound sleep, and they force night march up to the base of those mountains, banging cups on their saddles as they follow one another in the dusty gloom. They fall off their horses at 2:30 in the morning, men and horses exhausted. At 4:30 in the morning, the eastern sun begins to come up and shed light across the valley. The scouts from 13 miles out with naked eyes look down, and they see smoke rising from the teepees. It's a massive camp. They send word back to Custer. He gets up there at 9 o'clock in the morning. He looks down into the valley with a pair of binoculars from 13 miles away, but he can't see a damn thing, because all those breakfast campfires have turned the valley into Los Angeles. The scouts tell him, look for worms in the grass. Well, folks, if you take your eyes and you go down the hill, the Little Bighorn River's right down below that thick line of trees. But if you go across the valley beyond the freeway, on the morning of June 25th on that western flat benchland, there's 20,000 horses. 20,000 horses grazing. 20,000 worms in the grass. Custer can't see him. The scouts have high anxiety as to what to do. Some of them say, attack, attack, the village will run. But others say, no, no, don't go down there. Don't go down there. Mitch Boyer, half Crow, half French, says, Custer, you don't have enough bullets in your whole command to fight the Sioux. Another scout, a Riccara, bloody knife, Custer's favorite, says to him in sign, General, if you and I go down there today, we'll go home on a road we've never walked. Custer says, I think we'll get to all of them in one day. Arrogant, vain, overconfident, a glory hunter. Well, folks, for 140 years, he's been judged by one battle, his last one.